Hey, top of the morning to you. Welcome back to my channel. So, let's face it, folks, there's a lot of good parents out there. There's a lot of bad parents. There's a lot of semi-good parents, whatever. People got addictions. People got, gambling addictions, alcohol, drugs, you name it. But there's some good parents that will be at times labeled as bad parents. Now, in the circumstance that I posted yesterday, there is a man that I've known for many years, and he drives all the way from Santa Rosa, not much like myself and my spouse used to do, to San Francisco to work all day, and then drives all the way back to Rohnert Park, which that commute adds 2 hours onto your day. At the very least, it adds on another 2 hours. So if you do work a 12 hour, you're doing 14, you work a 8 hour, you're doing 10, and so on and so on. You do the math. And this individual got electrocuted by a box because of PG&E not doing what they're supposed to do, one of their employees. And so gentleman's been working himself back into the workforce, but has been doing this for many years, coaches his son's little league team, and takes good care of his children. Now, no different than my circumstance. We may have picked the wrong person or believed in somebody who may have been the right person at the time, but people can change over time. But let's face it, how many of us overlook red flags, both men and women, and you end up with somebody who is not who you thought they were, or for whatever reason decided to not fulfill what they said they would be or do or whatever. So sometimes in these circumstances and these family battles in family court, I've come to realize through research and through experience, people will just go in there and say any old kind of stuff just to get their way. And at times they will depend on biased norms. And I don't want to say that all ways this is the case, or that it's never the case that some of those accusations or premises are invalid. But let's face it, a lot of them are just bullshit, and they're going to depend on what may have been right or truthful in other circumstances to try to manipulate and get their way in their own circumstance. Some of them even know how to do that or what to word it. Let's face it, some attorneys know that too. And so if you have money, you can hire an attorney and you can have them go. That's essentially what a lot of these attorneys will do. Talk about you think that justice is always based on truth and everything. Come on, let's face it, it ain't always that. It's going to be who can facilitate a better argument or push away evidence that may prove that their client is either guilty of an action or behavior. But if it's not submitted correctly, proofs for service isn't, deadlines aren't met, so then it doesn't become about what's the best interest of the child. It comes about like, oh, this person had more money and this person may not have, this person may have met the deadline, this person didn't. Like the respondent in my matter now has a lot of the money, didn't have the money when they were trying to get back their child that they abandoned and dumped off on these people, and these people made that child their number one thing in their life at the time, and the other person didn't. She chose other people, but she didn't have money when she was trying to get her child back. They did. And so that was used against her. That's the weaponization. So when people talk about, or even the judges, the court, the attorneys, the social workers, these family court services folks, when they use that generic term of what's in the best interest of the child, they don't even know the child, and so they don't even know the people. They have to make decisions based off what's in front of them. So if that decision is based off of who has more money and who doesn't, that means somebody who may be a shitbag may have more money, but will come in here and pay an attorney to facilitate. And that quite often is what happens. The attorney will go in there and they'll play the manipulative game and try to make the one party out to be this or that. But hey, this individual in this circumstance with this gentleman that I know, he asked for help. I'm not an attorney and I'm in a different county, so I shall do my best. But you can see the videos. I've seen the videos. I've seen the texts. He's the respondent. She's the petitioner. She's trying to get 100% custody when he's been paying for child support, been taking care of his kids, it seems like she wants to move away, so she's trying to just get full custody so she could do that, so she could just take off with his kids. She got a degree at Sonoma State University to be a social worker. I don't know what it is with social workers. They're like, you think they're this wonderful, stellar individual, and they have this dark alcoholic. Not all social workers, I'm not saying they all are. I'm saying my circumstance and his circumstance. His baby's mother went to Sonoma State, got a degree. She's doing undergraduate stuff, not much less than what the other individual I'm dealing with is doing, going for master's degree. But mine's going through Sacramento State. His is going through ASU, but still doesn't have a job. Hasn't worked for all these years. He's been working. She hasn't been working. She's had this degree from Sonoma State, but still hasn't got a job. And so she's getting this aid and this stuff from Sonoma County instead of going out and working, trying to help do something for her child. Now she wants full custody so she can demand more money and take his kids and run off. Now, this individual was arrested for hitting police officers because she was drunk. She's got these drunk in public incidents that are on file. Her and her new boyfriend got the shit kicked out of him in Cotati and ran to this dude's house. We got a lot of text messages. You seen the video of her harassing them, running up to their door and ringing the doorbell and flipping them off. This is a fucking social worker, right? Or somebody that has a degree to be a social worker, and more than likely will be sent out there into, maybe that's it. Because I know in Sonoma County, through everything I've went through in Napa County, Sonoma County said you can't have any criminal shit in your background at all. Like for them, none. So maybe she went to go to social services or child welfare services or something in Sonoma County, and based on the fact that she hit a cop and did all kinds of dumb shit, drunk, maybe they said, no, we can't. So I don't know what the circumstance is, but to think that somebody who's going to school to be a social worker would be going and fucking with people's Ring doorbell and flipping them off and all that, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Another alcoholic that this gentleman has to deal with, they will go into the court and make up these crazy fucking stories, and now he doesn't have an attorney. Her mother's wealthy. She can finance an attorney for her. Obviously, she must have, because this person doesn't work. So where'd the money for the retainer for the attorney come from, right? This guy actually works and has a new girlfriend and her kids, and they all live together, and he's just trying to be the best that he can for both of them. And this individual is coming and trying to cause chaos in his life. Now, when it comes to alcoholism, it's a rough patch, because people will try to justify alcoholism like as if it doesn't destroy people's life. I had a roommate, Jeff, when I was in Santa Rosa, when I was homeless going to Santa Rosa Junior College. I was able to get a room at a place. One of the people that lived there, that dude made like $67 an hour, but he would drink on the job. He would have his bottle of alcohol. He crashed the company car. They let him stay on because he was such a good worker. He was a functioning alcoholic. Later on, I heard down the road that he got cleaned up, and then he killed himself. He shot himself, right? It's like alcoholism destroys lives. It's killed my friends. It's killed my spouse's friends. They drank themselves to death, but it just doesn't matter. People will socially make alcohol out to be okay, and they could just get fucked up and drunk in front of your kid, and then push that shit forward as like, yeah, this is how you have fun. This is what's cool. And then they'll try to say, oh, well, it's a legal thing. Like, so fucking what? It's still destructive. my mother died my foster mom died in a hospital here. My biological mom has a gambling addiction. Addiction is destructive no matter what. Gambling addiction, you can't even tell that people got an addiction, because it's not like they're on a substance where you can see it, but they destroy their lives and burn all their bridges and do all that stuff. Not much more different than most other substance abusers or alcoholics. So when you're up against alcohol, immediately the first thing is because, it's legal. So it's legal. So, hey, you can do it all you want. So if somebody's getting drunk and pissing on themselves and doing all this other shit in front of a child, just because the alcohol is legal doesn't mean that that's okay to do in front of a child. That habitual act right there is not okay, and it has the potential to influence that child and fuck up their life and their path. So when you go into these arenas with these people, it's such a battle when I went into this court, I asked for my son to have a voice. I asked for SoberLink, and I asked for them not to be able to party and drink. And there was excuses thrown back. And I was surprised because one of them was actually introduced by the court, not by the opposing attorney, which you would have thought would have led with that as a leading question, like he did with the alcohol. He goes, how much do you drink when you go out? Like 1 or 2 drinks, right? That's a bullshit lie. Everybody that was watching that shit knows her. The videos, the pictures are completely different. But it was introduced by the court like, hey, do you have a bladder problem? I looked like, what? They're trying to give her. Like, the way it was verbalized, honestly, it felt like, hey, don't you remember you're supposed to say you have a bladder problem so I can look past this issue? So now everybody can look at the videos, they can look at the pictures. I brought the pictures to the court. They wanted to play the game, so we take it to the public. Anybody that sees it knows. Anybody that can speak to a urologist or a nurse or whatever, if you have bladder problems, you shouldn't be out in public drinking and getting drunk in public. Doesn't matter whether you, and unfortunately that's kind of the way it feels. Like, oh, you don't understand what it's like to be a woman and after giving childbirth and we have bladder problems. Well, look, you don't have to be a doctor or a woman to understand what ADH is. Look it up. It starts either in the hippocampus or the I'm pretty sure it's the hippocampus. And then it's produced in the hippocampus, released in the pituitary gland. That's why you get dehydrated when you drink, because it makes you urinate more. So it doesn't matter whether you're male, whether you're female, whether you've had children or you had it. It has the same anatomical effect on a man or a woman. So that measure is bullshit. So if you're saying you have bladder problems, yet you're going out in the public and you're getting hammered, you're getting drunk, you're gonna pee on yourself. So when I went in there, another justification was given like, oh, well, this is Napa and people drink and blah, blah, blah. Look, I drive for the people. They're in this vehicle right here when I'm on the road. They don't bring their kids and drink and get drunk in front of their kids. They leave their kids with people so they don't have to do whatever it is they're going to do, so they can come and have fun and get turned up. What I'm dealing with, and they talked about birthday parties. These people get drunk at little kids' birthday parties. They get drunk right here. They got their music. They do their chaka chaka chaka, wah 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 wah, and the kids are right over there. It's $4.97 for gas back there. I know some people were like, $4.97, but that's a pretty damn good price for right now for gas. So they have these little parties saturated with gang members and thuggish ruggish people. That's what these unfortunately these women that I'm dealing with. My spouse responded in this dissolution of marriage, and she sought out the other girls that have the same issues with alcohol and choosing gang member men, and their families are saturated with active gang members. Is there anybody that's gonna say that something ain't right? There's psychologically something not right with the group of women who have a bulk of men in their family that get sent to prison for long terms and join gangs and have addiction problems and all this, yet they're going to go seek out men to be put into a parental role as a leader to their child. They're some of the most dangerous people in American society right now, or is any parent that's going to selfishly make a decision to put a toxic role model up in front of their child. So for their own selfish needs, whether it's physical, whether they're getting their back broke, or if it's a guy and they're getting the meat sucked off the bone, whatever it is, whatever excuse and justification, if a father has a daughter and he picks a toxic female, all bad. If a father has a son and he picks a toxic female, all bad. And the same thing if a woman has a toxic male gang member active. Now remember, there's people that like they see the light, they change their life, and they're like, man, I'm sticking nose to grindstone. I'm just gonna work. I'm gonna be there for my family. Then there's the people that are bragging and proud for having been at war with their culture and self-destructing their people, and will brag about it. And I'm actively involved in this and active in it like this. Then you got the weenies, like the respondent's brother, who's a dropout, 18 years on an SNY yard after sitting there and traumatizing a family of victims and people and stuff. Can't cut the mustard on a yard, rolls it up, tucks his tail, goes and hits the SNY yard, comes out hating child molesters when more than likely he was in there hanging with them and stuff, because let's face it, he's on an SNY yard. You know what I mean? Those were his people. He was in there with other races, but comes out racist and all this. Starts talking about God and religion for like 10 minutes, and then down the road starts screwing up, doing stuff on a phone that's in her name, out his mother's house that already got hit because his mom brings drug addicts and people to live on her property, actively using drugs that turned her house into a trap, a dope trap. And so you can see the mother picks chaotic people too. But there's that kind of individual who goes through all that stuff, drops out, but then will come out, do some coke or do some drinking, and then wants to pretend like they're a gangster again, or tries to go out and pretend they're a narco, when clearly, they already punked out. It's like, yo, tap out, grow the fuck up, and move on in life. Don't go out there and try to be a thug when you hit an SNY yard. It's like, let it go. But that's another psychological detriment. So you got the people that are active, that are celebrating their activity of war against their own people, and at the same time saying, I love my culture, I love my race, but you can't love and hate your race at the same time if you're saying that you're here to protect your culture and for the betterment, but your worst enemy and the people that you do the most harm to are your own people. You can't say brown pride or black pride or Asian pride or whatever pride it is if you're destroying your own people. And then you got the people that were on the same mindset, but then they drop out because either they get kicked out. Poof. I have more respect for the people that willingly, voluntarily say I've had enough and just kind of do their thing, as opposed to the people that get kicked off. You know what I mean? Those people didn't do it. They didn't make the change by choice. They were forced to make the choice. And some of them just psychologically cannot handle it because they always want to talk about the work that they put in, and I did this and I did that. Man, they should be bragging about what they do for their kids and their family. And man, my kid made it to college and blah, blah, blah. Those are the things that need to be, you know, we need another doctor out there from the culture. You're talking about brown pride or black pride. Man, we got to be proud if 100 of your culture becomes doctors. Maybe 100 of them become a scientist. Maybe can find a cure for cancer. You know, there's better things to be proud of than destroying our own or destroying somebody else's. So I digress. But this individual, I'm gonna start posting videos. We have a few other incidents. We're still gonna continue forward with PTSD. We're gonna talk about a suicide that happened not too long back and the stressors of PTSD on the people that love people that have PTSD. Still gonna interview a lot of the people that I'd like to get out there and interview Don Walls and tell you about his experience and honor some of these wonderful men that I was fortunate enough to call brother, that I do call brother, and people that have endured suffrage, whether it's Gabelo Rivera, who found his grandmother in her own vomit from alcoholism. She eventually passed away, but he was a child when he found her, and he shouldered that burden, but he made something positive out of it. He went to cadet school in Delano, California, eventually joined the Army. He's out there in Texas. He's a homeowner. He's doing his thing. And so he utilized hardship to do something good in his life. That's why he went to cadet school. He's like, after what happened to my grandmother, I want to make sure I'm there to be able to help other people. What a powerful statement to hear from a kid that found his grandmother in that condition. You know what I mean? So that's the people I want to interview. We got people that had people they love murdered, and they were left behind to raise a child on their own and all that hardship and everything. So we ain't done yet, folks. We got a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, my platform came under attack by some of the people that want to call themselves the victim, who victimize other people, the people who are trying desperately to hide all the crazy stuff, but they'll go into a courtroom and hire an attorney to lie. They get caught. It's crazy. But like I said from the beginning, I'm relentless and I ain't going nowhere. When it comes to my son and the influence and his future, do what you got to do, handle your business, you know, make threats, handle your business. I digress.